Let's go! Sage Ryan to LSU. This isn't going to be some fancy video with all the fancy edits. This is breaking news, and I wanted to come to you LSU fans with this bastion of joy. Are you kidding me? The Halloween commitment date, which also happened to be Nick Saban's birthday, which also happens to be the same week that all the recruiting writers who are way smarter than me started leaning towards Alabama. I started leaning towards Alabama. I was up in the air about this. This is huge. This is absolutely huge. He was my number one target for LSU this cycle, and that was further solidified with the shaky defensive back play that LSU has had this year at safety. So you get a huge player of need at a position of need. This is just huge for Ed Orgeron. So huge congratulations to him and his staff, safeties coach Bill Bush, Corey Raymond, for really putting in the work. Obviously, Sage Ryan growing up and idolizing LSU was a huge deal. Obviously, LSU winning the national championship, a huge deal. His cousin, Kev Falk, being on the staff. Trev Falk, also a former LSU legend, being related to Sage Ryan. This was all huge for LSU, and it was just too much to overcome for him to go to Alabama. So LSU, it looked as if they were going to lose out on him. And if they were, like I always say, and I've said it in every video, no one recruit determines your success. But in your home state, at a position of need, and if you were to lose him, you would have lost him to an SEC West rival. That is the absolute worst type of recruit to lose. Now, if he would have chosen Clemson or some other school, it wouldn't have been as big of a deal. But, God, this was huge. This was absolutely huge. And if it didn't work out, LSU was going to have to work even harder to get a Derek Davis Jr. or to flip an Andrew Makuba or a J.D. Coffey. But they get this done, and that is absolutely huge. So let me know in the comment section how you feel about Sage Ryan choosing LSU. I know we're getting ready for a big game against Auburn, but this was just ginormous news. Now, could he flip? This is recruiting. You know, you never know. If the LSU defense continues to look in shambles, it would cause him to rethink things. Maybe Clemson gets back in the picture. Nick Saban is always in the picture until the player signs the dotted line. So, massive news. Absolutely massive news. And this is the status of recruiting. Earlier this week, everyone was saying Bama. Actual recruiting writers who get paid a lot of money to do this, guess what? They were flipping their predictions to Alabama, and for good reason. There was serious momentum moving in that direction, but like enough, LSU was able to get the job done. And you take a look at the safety position, you still have Jordan Tolles. Mo Hampton will hopefully get better. You do lose Jacoby Stevens, but you also have committed Kari G and Matthew Langlois, both three-star safeties with a lot of promise. And then for the next year, you have two top 100 safeties. So obviously, gigantic news for LSU. And hopefully this leads to Mason Smith committing, which is obviously the next big domino. Brian Thomas Jr., also a top 3 player out of Louisiana. Is he going to go to Alabama or is he going to stay at home? Maybe they both say, hey, you know, our guy Sage commits, let's commit as well. Now, about Sage personally, he is a very quiet guy. He doesn't like the attention to be on himself. I mean, honestly, if you're a recruit and you are committing on a Saturday, which is a game day, this is obviously, when it comes to buzz, the worst day to do it. So that lets me know that he's not really a look-at-me type of guy. He is a very quiet guy. Jared Roser of Tiger Details did a very good interview with Sage Ryan after his game yesterday. And, you know, Sage said he was just ready for this to be over. He said he had NFL players from all over texting him, telling him where he needed to go. So, obviously, I'm very happy he goes to LSU. I still stand by that when you commit, this is just the first step. Obviously, a lot of it comes down to his work ethic, which by all accounts is pretty good. And if he works his hardest, there is no doubt in my mind we are looking at the next Dante Jackson or Jamal Adams type of player. And that's the crazy thing about him, is that he's athletic enough to be either one of those guys. He is truly a guy that could play any position in the secondary. So let me know what you think in the comment section below. I know this isn't some super fancy edited video, but I wanted to get this out there. Sage Ryan commits to LSU over Alabama. And if you want to chat anything recruiting, go on ahead, slide in the DMs. Hit me up at Carter the Power, Twitter or Instagram. We're not going to do a subscriber shout out. Obviously, we got a live video after the game today, so make sure you check that out, okay? It's Hour LSU. Boom! So freaking excited about this one. Let's go.